Let me see you try. I fucked up this vessel, baby, hustle, but then
We are in the house. Welcome to Get Rich and Die Golfing. What up, Big Sif? How's everything, brother?
Man, it's great in the Carolinas. The weather is nice. Matter of fact, on yesterday, it got a little warmer than expected, man. I went out and hiked 9 holes, and I was drenched after I came in. It got up to about 85 yesterday, and for us, that's humid heat here in the Carolinas.
Nice. Yes, I'm fresh from Vegas. We had our 2-day annual No Masters tournament.
What happened?
Sif. Angel Park, hole 18, second day, tie for first, A flight. 380, water from beginning to the end, all the way down the right side. I piped a 275, 280, 94 yards left. I could get up and down for bird or 2-putt for par and still win first place.
Right.
92 yards, 56-degree wedge, Vokey. Shanked that bastard right into the water. Shanked it right into the water.
The
cat that was, oh man, it was just an epic fail. It was an epic fail. I'm so disappointed in myself. Ended up getting third place because I was pissed. So I just took a pitching wedge and just bumped it on the green and did a couple of stupid putts. It was horrible.
Had you snaked one all day?
Not one. I was on fire because I had a huge deficit. I had to catch him. He was 10 strokes ahead.
Damn.
From day one.
Yeah.
He was 10 strokes ahead from day one. I think he shot like a 70. He shot like a 77. I shot like an 87 on day one. And I came out with a blistering 40 on the front and continued to pee on myself the whole back 9 and still came down to a 2-putt par from 90 yards out.
You shouldn't have paid. You shouldn't have
Oh
paid.
man, it was horrible. It was a nightmare. You got to tell the good, and you got to tell all the bad. What else? We got some news. Our co-host, she's on a Mother's Day cruise. She'll be back next week. She said it's her first cruise. She's in the Bahamas chilling for Happy Mother's Day with her kids and grandkids. It's all to the good. We love it. What else? Oh, okay. Shout out to Miss Paige Crawford. She won the John Sippen Cup, and then she just earned her first LPGA start, which is so dope. What else we got?
We got Howard University, man.
Oh yeah. That's dope.
They won the I forget what championship it was for not having that information, but they had the medalist. I think he shot 14 under, man. I mean, that's strong.
Whoa.
He got to the point where I was looking at some of his highlights. He was hitting shots and wasn't even looking at him, walking through his back. I mean, he was doing the Michael Jordan and Kobe and running down court after he hit the joint.
Wow.
That's brutal.
They're proven right now to be a little bit a cut above, and it's going to be a good conversation to understand. Is it coaching? Is it vision? Is it Steph Curry's money? What puts them ahead of other HBCUs? I don't have the answer to that.
Yeah,
I'm just going to keep it 100. I don't have the answer to that.
But it's almost like I don't know, man. A coach per year, it's almost like, man, he knows what he's looking at in terms of talent. Because I mean, we've seen Kendall Jackson go, and I mean that's somebody that we know, and boom. I mean, we've seen what's his Darren is it Darren Harrell or Harrell's daughter?
Yeah,
she's going there, and boom. I mean, so we're seeing a lot of kids who are going there that were good golfers in high school, but they're extraordinary at Howard. So I don't know if it's
Facts.
Sam brings some type of discipline piece or some type of formula, but whatever it is working.
But that is such a great fact because I think on some of the Facebook chats and stuff, they were like, "Oh, Steph Curry, the money it's such and such and such and such," and that's Otis. Big Otis is on combination of talent and resources. I believe that, but I also believe it's the vision and the coach and the staff too. Because
Right.
I think we could give that same money to some other people, and they're shaking in the water like I did 90 yards out and make a
Right.
big mess of it. Make a big mess of it. Not sure. We'll have a conversation about it. But whatever it is, it's working.
Yeah.
And that's a blessing.
No doubt. Yeah,
That's a blessing.
I think just having had the conversation with Sam a couple of times here in the Carolinas, he's a benchmark type guy. He writes out goals and visions, and so he's a benchmark. Kind of like football programs do. At this point in your tenure, I need you to be here. In 8 months, I need you to be there. If you're not there in 8 months, I need you to work on this until you get here in 2 more months. So, I mean, I think there's some benchmarks that are put in place with some goals that have to be met. And I think that's helping the program.
Yeah, definitely. I remember when he came on and when he at first was putting together the program and he came on our show. We was blessed to have him on the show. He had straightforward goals he wanted to do, and some of people didn't really think those goals was achievable and what he was doing and how he planned it out. And guess what? He was right. He's proving people wrong. His goals was met, and he leadership matters, folks. Leadership
Right.
matters.
Hey, one more note. You've got and I'm glad Otis popped on, but you got the VGA. They have their annual event down the Juneteenth down in Florida at Martin Downs. They raise money to give to respective universities and institutions. So, it's a good thing, man. It's a great thing that they're doing.
Come on now. How can that be bad? You got Juneteenth, good golf, good fellowship. Yeah, but only one of four black-owned golf courses. Martin Downs. We've had the owner on our show. Really great guy. Support that if you can. Support that if you can. I'm not a big supporter of Florida right now because of their governor, but we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. We
Right.
can't do that to ourselves. So we can't, just because we're not in step with that clown out there, that doesn't mean we don't want to support and give money to our HBCUs, and we don't want to support the Black Golf Alliance as in the work that they're doing. So it's a balancing act. It's tough. We got a hot one today, though. Let's get right to it. We got, we like to have experts on the show. We like to have people that's done stuff, that's doing stuff, that's self-made from the dirt, that's been in rooms we haven't been privy to be in. You know what I mean? Sometimes as a community, we have to respect the folks that's been in rooms we haven't been in, and respect the fact that they've heard and they were privy to certain conversations and certain mindsets that we have never seen or heard in person. We only get secondhand. But if you
Right.
have someone for the culture in those rooms listening, then it's like us listening, because he's trying to give you game. He's trying to tell you the mindset, the mind thought. You know what I mean? We're just blessed to have him. He's well known, as well deserved, breaking into industries that us have not broken into, and made a huge name for himself for his deeds and hard work. I'm gonna say that for his gift, because of his deeds and his discipline and his hard work and his performance. So Sif, I'm gonna let you before we go, we always need you to like and share the show. The more people that know about the show, the more people tune in, the bigger platform we can share with you, and the bigger platform you can come on if you got some wares or some information you want to get off your chest. So we'll take a quick break, and then we'll bring back our guests. Down this music. We got a legend. We got a guy that knows how to speak his mind because he knows what he's talking about. We always like to hear that. Let's give him a big shout out, Mr. Maurice Allen, long drive champ, advocate, and social justice warrior. Big Sif, I'm gonna let you start it off.
Yeah, man. We morph into these golf spaces, and I was telling Maurice earlier before we came on live was, I was just a golfer, an avid golfer, and I had no idea about the golf spaces until I got in some of these groups, BGA, the association, and other golf platforms that I began to matriculate into, and then all of a sudden I eventually found out that there's a space for golf, and there are a lot of platforms within that space. And so, when you're an avid golfer and you just play with your boys on the weekend, you think you know what you know. But when you get into these groups, like when you have a Jay McNair, Andy Walker, a Maurice Allen, Jeff Champ, Michael Blade, Richard Degree, and I can go on, then you find yourself that you're not the expert in this space. And so I've told Maurice a lot of times, now that I understand, because at first I thought Maurice was crazy as hell. I said, this dude is crazy. He loud, he crazy. But then as I began to listen to him in his profession and on his turf, I said, you know what? It makes a lot of sense because I see the similarities in some of the things that I do in my respective community as it relates to social uplift, as it relates to the things that we do in our community. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of similarities there. So I yield to the professionals, like Maurice and the other guys as well, because those guys have been in that space for quite some time. And so that was one of the reasons that I said, man, why don't you come on the show and speak about those things that we don't know? Because there's a lot of stuff that is behind the scenes that we just don't know. And so, Maurice, that's why I said, come on the show, and let's talk about it.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, no problem on that. First things first, I appreciate y'all for having me on the show. That's pretty cool. Thank you so much for that honor to be here. For those people who are watching the show, I've gotten no questions. I haven't been prepped. I didn't get this list of stuff, so it's rehearsed. Everything y'all getting is 110%. You're always gonna get me. That's just me being me. You're always gonna get grill in. That's me 100. That's just who I am. So we can start the conversation off properly. I know a lot of times, unfortunately, especially with us, you have to validate yourself and let people know who you are and why is this person have the ability to be able to speak on these platforms and speak on these topics, so on and so forth. Yada yada yada. Skip. So we'll get it done. We'll get it real quick, then we'll get to the business. All right. So for all y'all that don't know, here it is right here.
There we
Five-time
go.
major champion. Only
Hey,
person to hit a golf ball across Niagara Falls. 46 victories, 108 top 10 finishes, 4 world records. The only black person outside of Tiger Woods to be ranked number one in the world in any way, shape, or form in the sport of golf, period. Now that we got that done, because people always ask me why you talk the way you talk, who makes you the authority? I'm the only other person other than Tiger Woods to be ranked number one in the world. I've been at 3 different times. Now, what are your questions?
Nice, nice, nice. We love it. I have just and it's not a softball question because even though some of our golfers and some of our people who listen to the show are semi in the know or semi, I would just like to know your a brief, quick journey. How did you get into your profession, and how did you hone your skills, and who even I had no idea about a long drive until I started seeing you and it was flashy and it was a different avenue. How did you even know about it and get into it and then excel so
Honestly,
far?
I never played golf as a kid. My dad tried to get me into it. I was a baseball, track and field guy, volleyball. Golf, you gotta be quiet. Obviously, baseball, you chatter, you talking trash, and it's a little different. Golf, they out there shushing you. You know, like say people shushing you. You don't want people shushing you. And as a kid, it just didn't make sense for me. And my mother was like, "You two are going to kill each other, so we're gonna put the brakes on this." I was at Florida A&M my senior year. I used to go out there with my cousin and his friend. They would play. My dad always made sure I had a set of clubs, but I didn't use them. I was a track and field athlete. Went out one day, broke my cousin's club. He was like, "Man, just go to the shop. They'll fix it." Went in there, told the guy I needed it. He's trying to obviously sell me a set of clubs. So I got this old dusty set of clubs, and he was like, "Well, I don't know how to repair it because I don't know what shaft you need." I didn't even know what flexes were. I was like, "Man, just put whatever's in there in there." He's like, "Well, what you got in here, we don't have. Like nobody has that anymore. So we gotta find something comparable." You put me up on the monitor. I hit a 7-iron, 235 yards, and the rest is history.
Wow.
So, and I hear one thing I do want to talk about because people think I'm this flashy guy. And I had this conversation earlier today with one of my friends, and I challenge each person who watches this to go back and in all the flash or arrogance and all these other labels that I have been labeled that are extremely negative. I want you to go back and listen to the interviews I did and tell me at what point did I ever talk about myself? Because I never have. I've always talked about the sport. I've always talked about Pine Hills, Florida. I've always talked about black people. I've always talked about my mentors, but I've never ever talked about myself. And that was for me is probably the biggest thing that annoys me about my journey compared to anything else. No one pays attention to the things I've accomplished. Nobody pays attention to the community work I've done or how I put myself on the line for black people time and time again. The only thing anyone says, "Oh man, he loud, he arrogant, he all about himself." And I mean, Sif, we've had so many conversations on this one. It's the absolute opposite. Stop looking at what you perceive one thing to be, and this is one of the biggest problems in black golf. We don't ever do any research. We don't ever really look. We come in here and you know really look at things and say, okay, what is the truth, not the optics, because everybody looks at optics. Everybody's all about optics, and optics mean nothing. So it's something I challenge people to do. Somebody asked, who were my mentors other than my pops? It's a long list of people, man. It's such a long list. Everybody was a mentor to me. I mean, I will give you one fun fact. My entire journey up, I only had two black people help me. So we talk about black golf. Everybody that helped me was either Asian or white. I had two
Mm,
black people help me my entire career.
mm.
And I'm not talking about I had C-suite executives that I was playing with every week. Nothing. Every person that's
Mm.
ever helped me has actually been white.
We get that too. When we talk to Jeff Champ and stuff, and he's a lot of his people with others. I mean, being in Cali, I guess you get others, but yeah, if we gotta do better, we gotta do better. Big Sif.
Hey, I'm gonna paint a I'm gonna because I'm gonna dive right into it. I'm gonna paint a picture for you, Maurice,
Okay.
and just bear with me, and then I want you to go right into it. All right. I had a I had a friend of mine who was in the banking business. There was a property uh, that was in foreclosure that the bank owned. All right. I inquired about the property. I didn't ask the dollar amount. I threw out a dollar amount and asked, do I need to be north or south of the dollar amount that I threw out? My friend wouldn't give me any information. 2 weeks later, this white guy who's a friend of mine ended up purchasing the property. And I asked him, how did you know what to um, bid, or how did you know what to offer? He said, well, X, which was the friend, told me what to offer. And I'm sitting there saying, wait a minute. This guy's on the in. This is a problem that I have. This guy's on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
He was able to help me and some other black business partners to acquire this property, but he wouldn't tell me. But he tells the white guy what to offer, and the white guy buys it, and there's no problem. So my question to you, Maurice, is: do we have people who are inside of the infrastructure that are selling us out or not giving us the proper information?
You're talking to me about the Chicken George theory. Okay. So if you go back to the movie Roots, Chicken George, how did he become the right hand man to the master? He came back, and you were always taught before that you had to stand on another black person in order to succeed. That's systemic. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Okay.
Facts.
You always look at the black person as your competition when in actuality they're your ally. The problem that you really run into is because we all are sitting at this level here. And at this
Mhm.
level, all you can see is a crumb. But if you actually stood up, you see there's this big, huge piece of pie. But we're here. And it happens in every industry. It's not golf. It's like this person said, it's the black community in a nutshell. It's everything. The bigger problem is when you've accomplished nothing, your fear of what it takes to accomplish, you also put on someone else. I'll tell you, you can't do something because I can't do it.
Mhm.
And I don't have that ability to say, you know what? Because a lot of people want to be in the limelight. And I don't have that ability to take my ego and throw it to the floor and just be the guy behind the scenes. If you look at LeBron, well, LeBron's probably the best example I can give you. When LeBron first got into the league, everybody used to down him about how much money he spent on his chef, his therapist, all this other stuff. No one knew because he didn't publicly say he was out to break Kareem's record. That was his ultimate goal. They
Mhm.
talked about the championships and going from this team to that team and all this other stuff. Cool. I'm certain one of his ultimate goals was to break Kareem's record. And he knew the only way he could break that record is longevity. He also understood that he had to have X number of points a year, probably X number of points a month. He probably broke it all the way down like that. And so to him, breaking Kareem's record, becoming immortal per se, was more financially valuable than the money he was putting into trying to achieve that goal to make sure he could do it.
Hmm.
It seemed crazy to everyone else because they didn't understand. The same
Mhm.
thing happens here because we don't learn how to communicate as black people. We don't know how to talk. I'm going to place my fears on you and tell you that you're crazy rather than trying to understand your vision. You also have to understand everybody ain't supposed to understand your vision. They
Mhm.
just not. A lot of the people in the black golf space will never understand me as a person. Why? Because yeah, I dog these white folks out and I tell them that they doing this, that, and the third. But then I'll also come back to the black folks and dog them out because I'm like, you're not giving me a leg to stand on.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna tell you because you black is cool and I'm gonna sweep this under the rug. I'm like, nah, because here's the thing. If I'm gonna go out here guns blazing, you gotta give me ammo.
Right.
Hmm.
That makes
Facts.
sense.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense. And we was talking about that vision earlier with certain colleges and certain teams because people was looking at them, and that's a great point you made, Maurice. Because see, LeBron was spending $1 million on his body every year for many, many years, and people
Right.
was like, "He's crazy. He's crazy." He ain't- he and he was like, "No, you just don't see the long vision. It's gonna take me 20 years to get Kareem's record. Yeah, I'm gonna have to spend money to make sure my temple is able to work for 20 something odd years." um I love that when you say that because what, and we'll break it down. Let's break it down. What do
Okay.
you think is keeping our juniors? No. What do you think? What do you? All right, I'm gonna give an easy one first. I'm gonna give an easy one first. What do you think, or how do you
Jesus Christ.
see us in golf as far as participation? How do you see us getting more of us in golf? Because we have a lot of athletes that go to different
There's
other
a ton of us
disciplines.
in golf. What are we talking about? There's tons of black people who play golf. Are you saying at a
That's true.
professional level?
I'm
Are
talking
you
about
saying
at a competitive level, like at least collegiate level. Because
okay?
we're
So
gonna have a
let's
show. We're gonna have a show on, and there's a lot of non-black people in HBCU golf, and we're trying to understand: is it a? Oh, can you hear? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me, Sif?
I hear you.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah, I hear you. It's got to
I
be.
don't hear. I don't hear Maurice though. He
I don't
was.
hear him either.
Let me take him off and bring him back on. Boom, boom.
He has no. He's got bars now.
Yeah, he's got bars now. Check one, check one. Can you hear me? Oh, but we can't. We don't hear you on the mic. Uh, Big Maurice, just log off and log back on with the link, and it should work. So Sif, like I was gonna go into him. How do we get our people more involved? He's like, there's a lot of black people in golf. Then what's the ticket? What's the
Yeah, it's the thing is there may be, but in terms of that matriculating into that institution, I have to agree with what you said from day one. We just have to run a lot of them through the a lot of athletes through the gauntlet and see what comes out at
and
the
see
other
what
end.
sticks to the wall? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people in the golf space, but we're talking about guys who make the next step to the collegiate level because when you look at some of these HBCUs around the country and you see all white team, then that tells you all you need to know. Ro,
Yeah. Because I
Ro,
mean,
Ro Thompson's son, Lil John, should have been offered by 100 of them.
what do you are we positive he doesn't have offers and he's just keeping it low key? He doesn't want to speak
Well, I
on it.
just, the thing is, Ro's a proud father. And I'm sure that, once those offers start coming in, what you traditionally do, you post them, been offered by, or the website of the university will post that we've offered so and so.
That's true.
Yeah.
All
So
right,
it's
all right.
not too big. It's not that much of a secret anymore in terms of,
That's true.
holding offers.
All right, can you hear me now?
Oh,
Gotcha.
perfect, brother.
Good.
Perfect.
So your question is the juniors. Well, let's go to competitive golf. Okay, let's start at the top.
Okay.
Work our way to the bottom.
I like it.
Things first. Let's have a very good understanding. All right. I'm going to ask you a few questions between two of you all. Okay. How many companies are there worldwide?
I ain't even gonna damn lie.
Golf companies are like Fortune, just
No,
companies.
companies, period. Just give me a ballpark. I don't care.
I'm a cheat to just be like the top 500, Fortune 500, but we know it's probably 500,000
Right.
companies. There are probably more like 500 million companies because a company can be 2 people. It could be 30,000 people. It could be 30 million people, right?
Facts.
Okay.
Facts.
So, because everybody works for a company, even if they work for themselves, they have a company, a business, right? Okay. So, when you look at it from that standpoint, let's say there's 500 million companies. Cool. The top companies are called what? Like you said, the Fortune 500. Okay. When I look on the PGA Tour, there are 144 people that got full status with their card. There are some conditionals. There are some medicals. You are looking at 200 people. You got a better chance being a CEO of a Fortune 500 company than you do being on the damn PGA Tour.
And And
when you break down them numbers.
he's dead on, because I always talk about that in terms of kids going to play professional sports like football. You come out better being a neurosurgeon. But the thing is, Maurice, I guess my question is this, to piggyback off Manny, it's a streamline of them.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess we're asking why.
Why? Because we just not that good. I mean, it's at the end of the day. Don't
Yeah.
nobody want to talk about money. They want to talk about, oh, well, Justin Thomas's dad. Oh, you grew up on a country club. Blah, blah, blah. My homeboy Thorne grew up in Argentina, hits balls on a dirt patch, balls that ain't got no dimples and nothing on them, and got his car.
Right.
Yeah. Come
And
on.
so,
Tony
end of the
Finau
day-
hit balls into a mattress in Utah in a one-car garage.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree. I agree. And I have to, and I've said this before, man. You have to be able to shoot a damn score. You have to be good. There's
You
no
have-
other excuse.
And so here's the problem that we run into, okay? And I'm going to be 100% honest with you. Number one, our young black men and our young black women are not being told the truth, okay? And I don't put any... Black golf is full of golf enthusiasts. Black golf is not full of accomplished golfers, as we already know. What'll happen is someone will go out and shoot 70 or 69. Oh, man, you got to try for the tour, bro. You're going to make it. You that dude. Or, hey, young lady, you're going to... No, you're not. And what ends up happening is they go out here, they try to get money. The money don't come. The scores look like boo-boo trash. And then they go and find themselves going into this now social media influencer role. And they spend more time creating content than they do actually putting in the work and grinding like they're supposed to. If I look at the pages for the vast majority of our black folks, a lot of their pages are stuck with stuff for them hanging out, chilling, shoe game, this, blah, 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 blah. I look at my top contenders of white folks, they don't post. They post, thanks for being at the tournament, had a great time, and they gone. They too busy working. They too busy grinding. As black people, we're stuck on this positive affirmation thing where we can't tell somebody that you suck. And it's always, oh, rising star, future phenom, blah, blah. You ain't shit. And you just need to tell them the truth. I mean, not being funny, but
I agree.
I feel you. Are we more honest with basketball and football players than golfers?
No, because see, the issue is this. Everybody is trying to live their dream of getting paid. See, everybody's got this hope and dream of paid. This is a lotto. We trying to get this money. So when we're doing that, man, we're going to put all our chips in this. And I tell kids all the time, do not go and be a professional athlete. The hours suck. Depending on your sport, the pay is definitely not worth it when you break it down to an hourly. It's not one of those things that make sense. I tell my kids, I got 2 grown kids. I'll be like, hey, nah. It's not one of those things that it doesn't pay out really. And a lot of our golfers. So if I use the vast majority of our golfers, let's take any golfer over the age of 15 right now. Let's look at, actually, I'll look at one. I'll give you a great one. Miss Avery, Miss Davis, and Miss Slaughter. You got 3 amazing black women that play golf. They have highly probabilities of being millionaires in this game.
Yeah.
Highly good probability of it. Okay, EJ's proven himself really, really good. He coming in tough. Greg coming in tough. They got a few black males that are doing it too. But you see, when I do that, I don't have enough to fill both these hands up. I don't have enough,
Exactly.
right? But I got a room full of them that say that they're going to get there. They think that it's inevitable they're going to get to the tour. And most of them don't want to get to the tour because they love the game. They want to get to the tour because they want the paycheck. They want the status. They want this, that, and the third.
Right.
And everybody's still using it like a lotto ticket. I didn't get to being where I was in long drive because I was looking at the money. Not at all. I looked at it as an opportunity to beat the hell out of people. That's really what it was. I know that they didn't like me. I know I was one of 2 black faces they saw. I knew I was the most competitive black face that they saw. I know they got tired of seeing my black face, and I was going to make sure that every time they saw me, they going to knew exactly where they were behind me. And then everything else came. Somebody asked in the question, they were like, if all the things I accomplished, why is it that our people don't know who I am?
Mm-hmm.
I guess I just came up in the wrong time frame. I wasn't really big on the social media side from that stance. And there are a lot of things that people never wanted to do to show the greatness that I achieved. You have to understand that. I mean, there are a lot of things that I had to endure that the average person would not. When I talk to young golfers and I ask them about racism, what racism have you experienced on the golf course? You two will probably say, oh, well, you know, somebody said something around the way, and that was the racism that you all have probably seen on the golf course. Am I wrong?
A little bit. I run at the golf league too, so we run into different low key stuff. Like we're always the slow ones, but it could be a fivesome on the green drinking beer, but they not slow. But our guys are always slow. So we'll get that. Huh?
Yeah, that's not really racism. And that's what I'm like, no. And see, here's the reason why I say it's not racism. It's a very interesting line to toe. And I know a lot of people that be like, it's prejudice, but it's not racism.
Okay. Prejudging. Okay.
Racism. I've had death threats. I've had people threaten my kids. I've had my mother and my father's tax information be published on the World Wide Web for everyone to see. And then when I say I've had death threats, I don't mean one. I've had somebody in one of my competitors, colleagues, call me a nigga 6 ways from Sunday. I go to the commissioner of the sport, and their statement was freedom of speech. And they did it publicly on Facebook. This is what I'm saying. So when I say racism, I done had a dude call my mama a bitch and almost got his jaw tore off, and I got suspended. So when people say racism, you tell me somebody just didn't like you. I've had tournaments that didn't pay me. I won and didn't get paid. I've had people, Long Drive made rules every year to try to throw things off. They came, literally, it was 5 years in a row, we called them the Maurice rules. There were times when the world rankings first came out, the person from WLD honestly, openly said, oh, we just put people where we felt they should go. And it was people I hadn't lost to in 3 years, and somehow I'm a 16 seed because they wanted me to go against somebody who they thought was going to get me out of the tournament because they didn't want me on TV. I mean, so that's racism. Or better statement, if I'm the #1 ranked player in the world at my craft, if I am the person who's gotten more publicity than anyone has ever gotten, why is it that I had more sponsors prior to my world championship than after my world championship? People didn't come knocking at the door. When I won, I had to go and sue a company so I could get my money back, my money for winning, my incentive money. So when you talk about racism is when you can definitively say, you have treated this person this way, we have the same credentials, and I'm being treated differently, and the only difference is I'm black and they white.
Yeah. I'll say that, yeah, that's racism to the 20th power.
Right.
Yeah, no doubt. But there's still, and there's no comparison to what you just said through some of the things that we've gone through.
Yeah,
but
because we're not a professional.
A lot of this little shit though is racism too.
No, and I'm not saying that it's not, but you got it. So the problem that we run into is we confuse the fact that people don't like certain things about us with racism. Because here's and it's very funky, and I know people don't get it, but I'll give you the biggest show of racism in the sport of golf. Okay. 2020. Everybody remembers 2020. PGA show. That Sunday, tragic helicopter accident. Everybody knows what the helicopter accident is, okay? People walking off, they're playing Torrey Pines, and Tony Finau's distraught. Tiger's distraught. Very next week is what? Waste Management, right? They put all the pins at 8 and 24. Everybody got purple and gold on, Mamba mentality, all this other stuff. Every club company is out here, you know, pray for Kobe, pray for the 9, all this stuff like that, all the memorial stuff, which is great. And he and those people definitely deserve that respect. 2 days after the final round at the Waste Management was the beginning of Black History Month. There are still companies to this day that have not acknowledged Black History Month.
Oh, yeah.
We're okay to be entertainment to them. What we're not okay is to be a colleague. If we're a colleague, then we're an equal. If we're an equal, then that means we share something in common. They do want to acknowledge that. And as great as Kobe was, as big as he was as a human being, and from a global standpoint, he was not a golfer. And if you're telling me that Lee Elder, Ted Rose, Calvin Peete, Jim Dent, Jim Thorpe, Charlie Sipper, I can go down the list of people, James Black, Rabbit, blah, 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 blah. I can go down all these people, and people that we still to this day don't know. Think about it this way. If it weren't for Summer Woods, John Shippen's name wouldn't even be resurrected the way it is.
True.
And so you have to understand that. You want racism? Here's racism. John Daly in 2005, 2010 maybe, goes, tries to hit the ball across Niagara Falls. Guinness is there. They're willing to recognize it as a Guinness World Record. They got this crowd here. He sits there for an hour and a half. Motherfucker can't do it. I do it in 4 shots.
Wow.
4. Takes me 4 times. When I do it, we call Guinness. Guinness says, we're not validating that as a world record. So that's interesting. But you're going to do it with this man. Okay. Oh, well, we weren't there. It's not official. Well, we got the ball following. People in the sport of the long drive, they go and say, oh, well, this is digitally remastered. He never did it. This is all BS, blah, 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 blah. I go to the Golf Channel. I'm like, hey, we got to go and do all these things, man. Let's put me on Jimmy Kimmel. Let's get on Good Morning America. We got all this stuff. Let's go with this publicity run. You know, no, what we're going to do is we're going to wait on John Daly and see if he retweets it. And if it goes viral from there, then we'll do something.
That's some racist shit there.
Bigger state. Watch this. It gets worse. I go to Niagara State Park. Hey, I need y'all to put a plaque on one side where I hit from, one side where the ball landed. Oh, I don't think we can do that. Y'all got plaques on other shit that happened out here. But see, the difference is the moment I do that, I'm immortal. Because number one, you can't do it again. It's illegal. You can't fly a drone and you can't try to hit anything over Niagara. It's illegal. And we knew we only had a 4-day window to do it when we went up there to do it. Everybody's like, you didn't jump, you didn't scream, you didn't do any of that when you hit the ball across Niagara. They were like, you were the most relaxed, reserved, and quiet that you had ever been. Why is that? Truth. I'll tell y'all the truth because nobody's heard this. At that moment when I hit that ball across, I understood that every person in my family, every slave that was stolen, every person that was sold, every person that was beaten, every person that was raped, they were a part of an integral series and sequence that was getting me to that moment. I hit that ball across Niagara. That didn't have shit to do with my black ass at all. That was them. So their pain, their suffering, their struggles did not go in vain because I was able to fulfill what I was supposed to do. And that moment wasn't nothing about them. Everybody's like, man, you dropped to a knee and prayed. And like, then you look like you was like a Muslim or something like that. I was like, no, I was giving thanks to them because I understood exactly what was going on in that moment. I knew what it was all about. It ain't had nothing to do with me. And as Black people, we lose that. We forget. I've had people tell me that I act and I talk like I'm privileged. I am privileged because I understand that the soil that I walk on is stained by the blood of the people who came here. I understand that the God that I serve takes care of everything. So I walk around here with a different swagger. I walk around here and talk this stuff. A lot of people ain't willing to talk. I'll get in the room and I'll tell, like I told the president of NBC Sports, you're a fucking idiot. And it doesn't bother me. And that's the thing. It don't bother me to tell people that because they got to hear it. Your money, your prestige, and all this other stuff don't mean nothing to me. Kendrick Lamar said it the best when he said, I am the Omega. You know, I've been dealing with these overnight activists. When George Floyd died, a lot of people became Black because it was money into it. They weren't Black. And you a lot of these influencers, you know who these people are on social. They became super Black.
Speaking of that, and Manny, know this is very passionate for me. When George Floyd was murdered, and Tamir Rice, I mean, I can go. There's a myriad of murders that we've seen at the hands of law enforcement. But the George Floyd murder was an opportunity for individuals to make money. And so all of a sudden, we hear diversity, equity, and inclusion.
D&I.
And so now your thing is what really gets under my skin is when you have someone who's been trying to get into that space and never could, then all of a sudden George Floyd is murdered. Now they're in that space and they won't acknowledge why they're in that space or how they got into that space. And then what they don't do is then they don't give out information to the rest of us to let us know what's going on.
So first things first, you're a fool if you think that diversity and inclusion in golf had anything to do with your Black ass. It wasn't meant to fit you. So that's first things first. Second of all, and you'll take this however you want to, a failed entrepreneur can never be a philanthropist. I'm gonna give it to you again. A failed entrepreneur can never be a philanthropist. They are selfish. They are going to look after themselves first before they look after anyone else. They are not going to be able to lower their ego enough to say, I failed at what I was trying to do, but I can help someone else. The entrepreneur wants to be that person in the forefront. The vast majority of them. Very few times do they want to be the person behind the scenes putting in that work and build somebody else to go up there and perform on that stage. If you think Whitney was Whitney without her vocal coach, without her arranger, you crazy. You see what I'm saying? But until the movie came out, a lot of people didn't know who these people were behind the scenes that helped build these people up. People don't know who Beyonce is, this, that, and the third. They don't understand that. All they see is, and there's the difference. You have to be okay with being a piece to a puzzle. Right. Understanding that sometimes the best that you're going to be is not even a stepping stone, but a lifeline to someone else. And there's nothing wrong with that. That goes back into the personal sector. That goes into the home life. That goes into everything. You know, I talk to people about submission all the time. And people have to understand the difference between submission and desperation. Those are two completely different things. Very few times do people actually submit to anything, even in a relationship with their loved one and their spouse or whatever. They don't submit to an idea. They don't submit to a plan. Most times you got to take them kicking and screaming. And when you take them kicking and screaming, they're always going to wonder if it works. Oh, well, what is this? And they're always bad-mouthing it the whole time. But then they want to be on the benefit if it do work. Oh, see, I knew it. It was going to be that. Oh, you didn't. And the same thing happens in every walk of life. If you look at the flaws of a person in their personal life, it's no different in their business. It's no different in their recreation. They're the same. People do not change very often. You know, people look at me and they say, oh, man, you know, this dude angry, this dude mad, he got a chip on his shoulder. Well, who put the chip there? I didn't. If I'm angry, goddamn right, I'm angry. I did all this stuff for these people, and I don't get the respect from the people that I worked so hard for. I don't care nothing about how the white folks respect me or don't respect me. Ironically, they respect me more. I mean, but it's definitely troubling. And do I have a lot of the answers that'll help black people and black golf and all this other stuff? Yeah. Is anybody listening? No. And so what's going to happen is, unfortunately, we're going to lose our best and our brightest. And my question to people all the time is, how many more futures do we have to lose? Everybody wonders, why am I in such a hurry with everything? Is because you don't have any time to waste. You don't know if a person's going to be here tomorrow or if they're not. You don't know how long their talent is going to be here. You don't know how long their health is going to be here. So don't put thing off on the back burner. Just because people did it to you doesn't mean it's right.
Definitely.
That's a word.
Mr. Maurice, what is in your future? What keeps you going? What is your plans?
Man,
because you're an extraordinary talent, so you're not done. You're just starting. So what's going on?
I decided I'm going to go at least do another season and a half, a long drive. I shattered my hand in 2020 trying to raise money for Grow the Game, which is a whole other conversation. But Chris and I talked about that. I broke my hand on the second swing of a 4-day tournament, and I played all 4 days on a broken hand. Ended up with 5 broken bones between my hand and wrist. They told me I'd never play again. I was totally okay with that. And it was because I was trying to help people live out a dream that I lived. I won on every continent except Africa. And if I didn't pick up a club and play again, I would have been perfectly okay with that, with no problem. I believe that you have to be an individual who lives and dies by what you say. And I can't sit out here and say I'm for black people and then turn my back on them at the first chance or the first moment of adversity. Game and long drive is different, man. I'm old. I'm 41. You know, I constantly ask myself, do I really, really, really want to put my body through what it takes for me to get there? You know, do I want to go back to sleeping on the floor? I mean, for 4 months out of the year, I don't sleep in my bed. I sleep on the floor in my house. And that's what it takes. Do I want to wake up at 4:30 in the morning? Do I want to do 20 miles a day on my legs and 3 lifts and hit a minimum of 1,000 balls and drill and all this other stuff? Do I go back and do that? You know, is it worth it? You know, people say, oh, well, you missed out on the sponsorship opportunities. All you have to do is go do it again. I'm like, winning a world championship isn't as easy as people think it is. I've won 2 of them and they were both tough. Winning a tournament isn't, when you get to the highest level of anything, it's not easy. It's difficult. I think for me personally, just being an advocate for black golf and making sure that young people like the gentleman on the team for Howard and so on and so forth get these opportunities. You know, I always ask people, we've got some keynote people that are playing golf right now from other sports that have moved into the sector, but I see a lot of our talent not get the help, not get the assistance that they need. The people who actually, the money will make the difference. For 97% of the people out there playing golf, honestly, you could give them $100,000 a year for the next 5 years and they won't be any closer towards the PGA or LPGA tour. There's 3% out there, maybe even 1%, that there's 1% that it will make a huge difference. There's 2% that'll be on the fence. And as people, we need to make sure that those young individuals get that money. You need to make sure that they know what they're getting into. You need to, you know, I look at the APGA as probably a good example. And I know people get mad, but I don't think that they should give any of those boys spots in the PGA Tour events. I think it's the worst thing that you can do because they don't want us to succeed. So they're putting us in situations where they fail. And I'm not saying that these young brothers don't have talent. They have extraordinary talent, but let's think about it this way. When you were standing in that fairway with nothing to do but get on the green and 2-putt, the pressure got to you. Well, let's take this pressure from the stance of you're playing on the biggest stage in golf You're playing on, normally they get the worst courses to pick, like the Honda or the Wells Fargo or Torrey Pines or the Genesis or Bay
Very
Hill.
hard courses.
They
Very
get
hard.
the worst pick of the litter. And what happens? They go out there and they put this post.
89.
No. And see, that's where people go wrong. You got to understand where the 89 comes from, because I've been there, and this is honest, okay? You go there, you put the post up saying, hey, I'm going to go play in this event. Everybody's on your social page. They throwing you up, blah, 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 blah. The tour throws you up. You get there, and then you got all this media stuff you have to do because you're the token black person now. You got the black exemption. So we got to do this. You got to play in the Pro-Am. Your sponsors want you to do this. Somebody else wants you to say this. Somebody randomly puts, and all this stuff is applying pressure. And then you'll have somebody who randomly says something stupid that they shouldn't say that week to you. Now that's in your brain. And you go to that first tee, and what are you doing? You're not yourself. You haven't been placed in a position where you're comfortable. You're not free swinging. You're guiding the ball. And it is, we talk about these brothers with these high numbers, and I've played golf with all of them. I can promise you the scores that they shoot do not reflect the talent in the game that any, and I do mean any, of these brothers who have gotten exemptions, not naming names. I'm telling you, every last single one of them is great. Every one of them.
Get that up.
So understand that. Don't think because they went and shot this number in the PGA event, you're like, oh, I shoot that at home. Go ahead. I dare you to put your house on beating them and thinking that that's a number, because you and your family don't. And that's all. As black people, we so quick to try to bring people to our mediocrity. We don't go out there and give them the same respect. I play golf with Vince Carter all the time. Vince is one of my boys. I talk to Vince. I don't never be like, oh man, that ain't nobody but Vince. No, hell no, that's Vince Carter. They'd be like, oh, you don't, yeah, I'm like that. Okay. I never diminish his name or his reputation just because we're so cool. And I can go down a list of people that I'm around that I know, and I don't do that because I understand that they are great at what they do, and I don't try to bring them to my level and so on and so forth. That's a lot of times where we go wrong. We try to insert ourselves in places where we shouldn't. We try to compare and contrast rather than just celebrate and be in awe and in reverence of something amazing. And that's where we go wrong. It ain't about you. This ain't your time. Matter of fact, it was never your time. And understand that. This ain't what you do. You do this for a living. They do that for a living. Respect, uplift, and go and get those brothers. I mean, you look at Harold Varner was a great example. Everybody got in an uproar. Oh, they ain't showing him no TV time. He in the top, whatever. Okay, let's go backwards. If the PGA Tour was playing in your city, y'all had y'all golf group. Y'all always play on Saturdays or Sundays. Did y'all say, hey man, Harold playing this week, he made the cut. We canceling our round this weekend. All 40 of us gonna go out. We're gonna bring our wives, or we're gonna bring our family. We're gonna make sure he got 100 and some odd people following him.
Yeah, we do that here.
We don't do that.
Yeah, we do it here. When he's playing at Quail, we gone.
But when they go other places, that's home. Home don't count.
Right.
When you're on the road, people don't understand, as a touring professional, that is the loneliest life alive. You don't know the effects as a player when you look up and you see a face that looks like you know, and everybody wants you to fail.
Well, it should be a baton. It should be a baton approach as they go to different cities. Like, for example, when Cameron comes to Charlotte, we go and watch Cameron. You know what I'm saying? So if he's in Florida, the baton should be passed to the group in Florida, knowing that some brothers coming out to play. We need to go check them out.
But it goes back to the thing of, we don't understand our piece in this whole sequence. And the part of our piece in this sequence is, if we do what we're supposed to do, if we give our time, our money, show our support, they don't have a choice but to recognize. Still to this day, no one has marketed to the black dollar at all. Not a single company has done it. Okay, they throw a black person in on a commercial here and there. You got some of these influencers doing some lame junk that they doing, but it's not anything of any substance, of any merit at all. And the reason why they can get away with it is because they know that these people don't have resumes that will reflect or demand for them to come to the party in a different way. I mean, we control our own trajectory in this game. And until we decide to get off our ass and start doing stuff, mean, yeah, we donate to schools. Everybody thinks that it's money, and it's not. It's not money. Most of these, I'll be honest with you, these HBCUs, with the exception of Howard, don't need to be asking nobody for money. They need to go out and produce. You go show me some scores, we'll get you some money. The reason why you ain't got no money is because you ain't got no scores. That's point blank, period. And then if you're going to do this just for a scholarship to go out there and participate, cool. Stop saying you're trying to get to the tour.
Yeah.
You can learn lessons in this game. You can learn a lot about yourself. You can meet some great people. That's cool. You can have a wonderful time, a great experience. There's nothing wrong with that.
Not at all.
Serious business.
We advocate that all the time about this game will take you many places, and there are other opportunities besides getting to the tour, and which is very, very cool. The one question that I have, and I know we're winding down. The one question I have, and I'll shut up. The $100 million in 10 years that the PGA pledged for, I forget the term that they use. Where is that money going?
You don't want answers to questions like that.
That's why I asked. I don't know.
Where's it going? Did they say they would? So let me give it to you this way. Easiest thing ever. Black man dies on camera. Everybody is benefiting but black people from a black man dying on camera. I take George Floyd personally. I take it very personal because I'm gonna send you a link. I put this thing up that morning and I got attacked because it was Memorial Day. I remember it like it was yesterday, bro. This is one thing I ain't never gonna forget as long as I live. And I put this post up about all the people who had been killed. And I was saying something about how all of the people who have laid their life for our freedom didn't all wear uniforms. And I put this picture up, a collage of all the people who had got killed up to that point. I had people coming up, man, you shouldn't do that. That's unpatriotic. They're going to take that down. How all you white people going off on me, blah, blah. I went and played golf. I left my phone. I ain't even look. I don't even read the comment stuff, right? And I remember one of my really good friends who was in the entertainment industry, she hit me up and she called me and went off on me about it. And I told her, I was like, man, I don't even want to have this conversation. I write the stuff that I'm led to write. Whatever God speaks to me in that morning, I write it. You ain't got to like it. You ain't got to understand it. Half the time, hell, I don't understand it. 6 o'clock that night, that post had a whole nother meaning, dude. I've never seen the tape. I don't want to see the tape. I don't want to see the video. I'm not saying I knew it was coming. And like I told you, my connection with God is something different. I let him move through me, the way how he do his thing. It's weird, the things that I see. And you have to understand that goes back to the submission thing, dude. It's a lot of things that happen in this world that we don't understand, that we don't see, that we don't know. And the problem is so many of us are afraid to stand up and just say something's wrong. We say, oh, well, that's just the way it is, so on and so forth, rather than stand up and say, hey, man, no, this ain't right. And that's a problem. Everybody's not, like I told you earlier, man, everybody's not going to believe in your vision. Like my pastor always says, you can't tell everybody your dreams because someday somebody's going to try to wake you up. And that's real. Sometimes you're going to be led to do stuff that's not going to make any sense. It's not going to be in nobody's vision. And that's the unfortunate part of being futuristic or being a leader or being a visionary. You have to endure the fact of people telling you that you're crazy all of the time. I've had to deal with it for 10 plus years. People, Chris was honest. He was like, I thought this dude was nuts. But it's true though, man. Like, I get it all the time. And the only thing I ask people is put your money where your mouth is. I always tell people, show me where you spend your money and I'll show you where your heart's at. I spend money on my people. I've given over $100,000 in scholarships in my old high school. I mean, like every time I go to a city and I do a speaking engagement, I make sure I give a third of my money scholarships to a kid that's there. So if somebody paying me 15 grand to come in and speak or do a clinic, I'm leaving 5 with a black kid that's there.
Wow.
When I go and do a kids clinic, I got people like Samsung, Oakley, Adidas. When you come to a kids clinic with me, these kids getting swag bags. And I ain't talking about these little funky little, sling bags. I'm talking about they getting golf bags, they getting shoes, they getting shirts, they getting outerwear, they getting pants, they getting sunglasses, they getting range finders, they getting, and this because I want these kids to understand abundance. See, as black people, we always go to church and we talk about abundance, but the only abundance we talk about is our pockets. We don't talk about abundantly giving to someone else. We don't talk about filling someone else's cup till it run over.
Facts. Abundantly serving. Facts.
And so everything that I've always done, man, has been about serving my people. So I can get out here. I can get loud. I can be all these things. I can be boisterous. I can be all these things because the proof's in the pudding in what I do. And I challenge it in anybody to come up and look at the facts of the things I've done and say, all right, yeah, this dude's a lie because you can't do it. I remember I told a white dude one time, I told him I'm perfect. He looked at me like I was nuts. I said, yeah, I'm perfect, homeboy. I've done it on the field, off the field. I followed y'all rules. I did everything the way y'all wanted it done by your standards. When 2019, dude, after I won that January, I had people going in and writing letters to my sponsor saying I had an arrest record. He's been in jail. He's this, that, and the third. I said, okay, well, just show me a mugshot. These are fellow competitors. These are fellow competitors. I said, show me a mugshot. Show me one, because I know I ain't never been arrested. I had the commissioner of my sport. Hear this. He tried to give me this, oh, well, I was one of the white kids who grew up in the black community. I was one of the only ones. We're more similar than alike. I said, hold on, let me stop you real quick, my man. You're going to try to tell me that you are similar than I am, but I'm going to tell you that you and I are different. So, Chris, you up in that area up there, all right? So what people don't know, number one, my mother her boss was Catherine Global. My mother is one of the women from Hidden Figures. My mother was a senior project engineer for NASA. Everything that went up in the space shuttle, my mother was the senior engineer over every payload bay that went in there.
Wow.
My father was the GM of the Orlando Convention Center for 30 years, that man was over every PGA show. My stepfather was a principal at the elementary, middle, high school, and special needs school. My stepmother was over at Parks and Recreations and developed a lot of parks in the black community in the Orlando area. So when he's telling me that he and I are the same, I said, you're not the same. We're cut from two different cloths. I'm cut from a cloth of greatness. You're cut from a cloth of mediocrity. So don't dare insult my history and my ancestors and think that you and I are the same. But see, everybody ain't gonna talk to no white dude like that. That's the difference, dude. Like when you understand who you out here representing, when you understand the people that you stand on, a lot of the projects that I do, man, are all about glorifying the past. It don't have nothing to do with me. I just make sure it's done the right way. I don't care about likes. I don't care about views. I care about making sure that the people who come after me have a better road than I had. There's no reason for Kendall or Greg or EJ to receive death threats. There's no reason for them to walk into a clubhouse and people whispering over. No, they need to come in there and be like, hey, how are you doing, ma'am? How are you doing, sir? We'd love to have you. Thank you so much. We appreciate your talent. That's what they need to have. They need to be able to walk in there and feel comfortable.
Right. I think Cameron Champ, man, experienced that when he won the Sanderson Farm.
Yeah.
He's one of the
same thing, yeah.
But you have to understand the why, man. Like people don't really dig down into racism for what it is. And this is why diversity and inclusion don't work. So you're telling me that I'm going to give up my power to you, aka my money, but my power. I'm going to work twice as hard and get the exact same result, and I'm willingly going to give this power to you.
Yeah, that's I'm 100% with you on that all the way.
I mean, but here's the thing. I don't fault them for that because that's not what you're supposed to want to do.
Yeah.
You telling me I've had an advantage this whole time? Now I'm gonna say, oh, all right, I've had enough of this advantage. It's all good. I'm gonna give it to you. We're
Yeah,
gonna level the
exactly.
playing field now. What? Hell no.
Right.
Why am I gonna do that? I have made millions this way. My family, I have generational wealth from doing it. I have opportunity. I have access. My kids get to go to Yale and to Harvard and to Brown and all this other stuff. And I'm going to readily give that to y'all? And I'm not saying that you're better or worse, but there's a possibility that you are better.
Right.
And so I'm going to give that willingly versus
Not gonna happen.
us as a people. Because I talked to a black guy who plays. He's on APGA, and I asked him, I said, would you be willing to stop playing and jump on the bag and caddy for another player if you knew 100% he was going to get on the tour, but you had to stop playing for him to get there? Hell no, I ain't doing that. And that's why we have a problem. You're not willing to sacrifice. You're not willing to submit.
Facts.
Bro, I study culture. I study a lot of things. Like, you ask me what I got next, man. Like, dude, I do keynote speaking, writing a book. I do kids. I do a lot of things. Everybody, the only thing people ever know about me is yelling and screaming.
It's the long drive.
That's all. That one moment, 1 second of my life, which I swear, I wish I had never done that shit, because it destroyed everything else that I did. Everybody looked at me like I was a clown or I was an entertainment piece or so on and so forth. And they totally looked over everything great that I did.
Right.
But when I gave away scholarships, I went to Golf Channel about doing a piece on it and having me live in studio on Morning Drive. And the guy told me, you're lucky we're even covering this. And I had to think about why I was lucky, because I was setting a tone in the sport with doing something no one had ever done before. And I'm black and I'm setting the tone? Man, hell no, we ain't giving you that kind of pub. What's wrong with you? So you tell me a black man gonna set the tone that we gotta follow? Come on, man.
Yeah, you know, so it's a road that many have traveled before and many will have to travel after. And I'm glad you on that road leading the way. That's for sure, because your accomplishments, your experiences, your giving, your service attitude is what we should all follow for sure. Sif, and then Maurice will give you the very last words, whatever you want to say. Sif.
Hey man, I really appreciate you coming on, Maurice. And the thing is, man, I take ego
And hope
out
it
of
won't be the last.
yeah, I take ego out of the equation. You know, I'm man enough to say in the beginning, I thought you was nuts. You know, I'm man enough to say that. But I'm also man enough to say, you know what? This dude got a point. So the more, and you don't know, but I followed you and I listen and watch the things that you say, and they resonate because there's a lot of similarities in your space as well as the space in these communities that we're dealing with the same issues. So I'm sitting here saying this guy gets it, he understands it, he's a pioneer, and he's a colonel in this space. So I yield
That's
to
right.
him.
We got to do that. We
Yeah.
never follow chain of command. We never want to.
Right.
We never. Everybody wants to be a colonel,
That's
but
right.
nobody wants to follow a true colonel.
I tell Jay McNair and Andy Walker and like Jeff Champion, those guys, I yield to you guys because you're colonels in this space. What do you need me to do? I am a buck private in this space. Now it's gonna be some spaces that I'm gonna be the colonel,
Right.
and that's
Facts.
how it happens.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, man, the only thing I tell people watching, listening to this is, as a people, we don't have to be lost. We don't have to walk 40 years in the wilderness for a 7-day journey. We don't have to. We choose to. Money isn't the answer. I know we all think financial freedom is everything. For a lot of us, we're slaves. We really are. Our mindset hasn't changed. If we find a way to connect and understand that we aren't the enemy, we don't have to kick each other down. We don't have to step on each other. we do need to lower the ego and understand that somebody needs to lead in certain spaces and they're okay with following in others.
Facts.
We can do a lot more. We also need to really, really stop playing with these babies. Babies are impressive. They're thinking about money. They're thinking about swag. They're thinking about drip. They don't understand what life is really all about. We got some adults that don't understand what life is really all about. It's bigger than money. We have to learn how to communicate. We have to learn how to be open. We have to learn how to be vulnerable. I think that our best days are in front of us, not behind us. I think there's so much potential for us in so many lanes if we just understand that everybody has a time to shine and everybody has a time to push. And if you shine when you shine and you don't get bitter when it's your time to push, your light may not be as bright as you want it to be. I had to come with the harsh reality that my light will never be as bright as I thought it would be or believed it should be. And maybe it will once I've left this earth. So I'll never be able to truly enjoy it. But I have found a different way to enjoy life. I found a different way to flex. It's not about shoes. It's not about cars. My journey in life now is all about immortality. And immortality is, for me, how many people can I help? How many profits can I leave after I'm gone? And that's what it's really all about. How much change can I make? How many people will still utter my name long after I'm gone? Having the accolades now, having the shine now, having all that stuff now is cool. But looking down on it at a later time is something that I really, really strive for. And if more of us could do that, I mean, I'm at a point now where, for instance, there was a Nike drop that came out today. I ain't even buy no shoes. I just sent a dude some money for an entry fee. I don't need them. I'm not putting no money in Nike. I'm not putting no money in Louis. I'm not putting no money in none of these things. I'm putting money in my people. That's where my heart's at. And if that means I die a broke man, then I die a broke man. But I didn't get where I was because people didn't help me. The only thing that makes me sad about getting where I am is that the people who look like me didn't help me. So now my accomplishments are really tied to white folks. And that sucks.
Hotel.
All right. That I'm gonna say to be continued, because this ain't the end. He'll be back hopefully. It was a great starter conversation. It's hard to get in real talk within an hour, but we definitely you have an open platform. Our Instagram is your Instagram. We always follow and recopy and tag you. You know, like you said, you can't take sides on the circle. So trying to do it. We all won. All right. Big Sif, Big
Man,
Maurice, we're gonna follow you. Please follow Maurice. Listen to his word. He's a doer. Look at him. He's a doer.
Yeah. Oh, one last thing, man. Shout out to Howard Golf Team. Shout out to Paige. Some big things happening in Black Golf this week, man. Make sure y'all follow them people. Make sure y'all send them a personal message just saying congratulations. They don't have to know who you are. They don't have to reply. Just as an athlete, I'm telling you, take the 45 seconds to go hit the follow button and actually take the 2 minutes to send these people a personal message. You don't know how much that uplifts them. Just take the time to, for real.
That we're gonna leave it there. We can't even top that, because as you as a professional athlete, we're not, you know what small bits of encouragement does to your performance and to your psyche. Just a little bit of thank you, congratulations, we're watching you, we're supporting you. We're gonna leave it right there. We can't do nothing else. That gets an air horn. We can't do nothing else.
It is. Well, y'all know.
And on that note, we out.
Maurice Allen.
Thank you. 1,000 times.